Are we being destroyed by our technology? That's what we're going to discuss here today on Switch to Linux. Well, welcome back to Switch to Linux. I wanted to talk about this Engadget article here. It was just so good. And it's in a way comical, and I really enjoyed the comments because people are like, this is so bad. There's nothing true about this. I'm like, no, they literally linked every accusation they made. It's kind of funny. So we're actually going to look at this and then another article because this is here, of course, this is this transitional period of time, December 31st. You know, no one's really working, but you're kind of working. And so we get these little pithy articles that it's just comically read. I'm going to have to edit some words or some things in here I don't like to say. So keep this place family friendly. So how have home assistants ruined us? An explanation. It's the rise and revenge of the machines. This article is already linked in the description down below, so in case I forget, it is down there. I absolutely encourage you to read it. We will read portions of it. I don't want to read all of it. I just love this introductory. Our situation became clear when my friend ran through Trader Joe's screaming, "Alexa, what time is it?" This wasn't a cringy mockumentary comedy segment. It was the way we live now. I'm certain San Francisco's sea of terrified Postmates and Prime delivery runners parted for her, trampling an Instacart personnel shopper already wallowing in the misfortune of crawling along the baked goods aisle, feeling blindly under the tortillas for a last earbuds, and everyone wondering if they should all yell at Google or Siri to call 911. Several cameras are trained on everyone, of course, to memorialize the broadcast. These special moments forever. Glorious introductory paragraph. And there's so much in this. What was that line from the Rush song? It was the first song on Test for Echo. You know, I'm not remembering that line. There's 4 or 5 lines in there. One of them does relate to, you know, getting the front row seat on your television. Very interesting line. I should look it up now that I've said it, but anyway, look it up. Look up the song. First song on Test for Echo. It might have been called Test for Echo. So understandably, everybody is doing their introspection right now. Their year-end, decade-end summaries of what was most dreadful in tech and what led to this mess we're all in. I assure you that one of the key factors is what we have come to call the Internet of Bleep, and how we have embraced it. I believe this is actually a Twitter channel that has some quite comical stuff. Software development is my passion. Oh, look at that. Isn't that just a glorious first little tweet? Software development is my passion. Linux. Awesome. Lies and, yeah, that kind of stuff. Stop showing me ads for things I just talked about. Active desktop recovery. My screening of Star Wars was 15 minutes late, and this just happened. Oh, that's glorious! Switch to Linux, computer. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Yeah, 12 million phones, 1 data set, 0 privacy. All right. There you go. That can be my next tweet. Download the official app. All right. I'm going to turn my heart on dark pattern and be structured. Yeah. The more the merrier. Oh boy. Something referenced to Sonos, of course, destroying stuff. App lights. They look cool, but if I'm having to control these apps with this, I don't know. Yeah, fun. Anyway, you can browse around on that individual thread yourself if you would like. So it says, this is the decade technology broke us. The products saturating our lives are released in the worst and most broken, untested, and often dangerously flawed forms imaginably. Think Skynet, but let's use the word stupid. Terminator, controlled by CrapNet. We've seen the films. We know the dystopian warnings. It enslaved us as a species anyway. We cannot escape because Siri can't understand our pleas to unlock the door. The getaway vehicle won't start until it reboots. You can't even run away because your shoes have bricked from a bad update. Yeah, you guys remember that story this year. Your Nike shoes bricked. The update happened. Now, I want to stop and add a little bit of commentary. Way ahead of its time, must have been about, 15 or 20 years ago, the kids Christian series called Adventures in Odyssey. In fact, man, this episode might actually go back 25 years. There is an episode that is called, what is it? I can tell you the whole story plot. And on any ordinary day, I can probably tell you the name of the episode. Tales of Moderation. It's called Tales of Moderation. It's 3 stories about why you should be more careful with spending your money. First one is, you don't know when things are coming. Last one is, Jesus and one of the parables. But the middle story is so telling. In fact, they even did another one almost 15 years ago where one of the main characters, Eugene, put voice automation in his house, and it was very interesting comical scene. But in this episode, like dating back to 25 years ago, they literally had a guy who home automated everything in his house, and he's like, I am now self-sufficient, everything's all easy. But then what ended up happening is the machines kind of came alive and started demanding more things from him. And so it was a very interesting and very telling thing to see. And so I wanted to bring that out just to say that the guy gets all mad. He tells everybody, if you guys don't shape up, I'm going to cut you all off from your power sources. I'm going for a drive. And when I get back, we're going to change some things. He goes out, sits in his car in his garage won't let him leave. Glorious 25-year-old children's program. Pinned it. All right, so 5 years ago, Amazon told people it'd be really cool if they could kindly put microphones in their homes with its release of Echo. That was Alexa 2014. Of course, Siri predated that. Samsung fired the starting gun to stick chips in everything with SmartThings platform in 2012. Google and Apple had already tricked us into carrying and depending upon their tracking and surveillance devices called smartphones. So naturally, both companies joined the connected home collection gold rush with Google Home and Apple HomePod. Of course, each has its own standards and none will work with each other. That's actually changing. All of these big tech guys are getting together and creating a home standard. The gold rush to stick a chip in everything and put spyware in people's homes coincided with a lot of things, but namely it increased awareness around surveillance, digital privacy, hacking, security, and the looming threat of a data harvesting advertising IoT apocalypse. A lot of people wonder how secure and private all these smart things were. Turns out not at all. Hey, why secure it when you can lock it with admin? Yeah, admin. And just to make it that extra dose more secure, we're just going to hardwire those passwords into it so they actually can't be changed. So basically, they were relying on obscurity security by obscurity is what they were doing. Like a drunk, dementia-addled billionaire bull in a china shop, each of the major players unfailingly rush every smart thing into our lives. And by the way, we're the ones who bought them. See, this stuff doesn't affect me a whole lot. I just don't have it. I don't want it. They spied on us. This April, news came out that Amazon Alexa is trained by humans who listen to audio from users' home and offices without their knowledge. No one knew this, nor did users realize that all the home assistants do it. The story continued. One reporter working on the story commented, the contractors listening to voices were horrified. and saw an obvious violation. The companies were all surprised by the discomfort. Wait, who is surprised by this? The contractors? We are going to come in and we are going to give you, we are going to go ahead and give you, a job. You might be horrified by the job, but it's a job. All right, so let's see. They tricked us. February, users found out that Google slipped microphones into Nest Guard products. Whoops! Company told press it forgot to tell you about the microphones in your Google devices. Imagine being the most powerful companies in the world with elite educated staff and forgetting something so serious. What do they think they are? Facebook? I mean, really? Woe to those. Never mind. I'm not going to read that sentence. This is a family-friendly show. You'll have to read that one yourself. All right, they sold us broken things. Attorney General's office filed suit in 2017 to force a smart lock maker to secure their locks by adding encryption. You'd think a security device would have encryption on it, but why? Why bother? There's no need for encryption. Vizio, this one talks about Vizio settling charges that they put spyware on the televisions. $1,000 TVs, and it's full of spyware. They forced ads and DRM down our throat. Developer Wes Bos was extremely annoyed that he had to opt out of an intrusive advertisement for McDonald's via the operating system of a television he paid over $1,000 for. Don't forget that Keurig bricked their devices with off-brand cups in 2015 when it added, of all things, DRM to the coffee. Cheers. So, with DRM added to the coffee cups, you had to buy their proprietary and more expensive K-cups. How dare you waste so many resources on such garbage? Just brew it up. In fact, if you add a French press, you don't even waste a coffee filter. Yeah, when I make my coffee, there's like almost zero waste. I mean, yeah, I do technically throw the coffee grinds. Well, I wash them down the sink is really what I do, which is actually good. It's putting the nutrients back in the water supply chain. That's kind of cool. We have Ring. Of course, we had, I think, 6 to 8 weeks of solid Ring videos because of all of the police connections and all the weird stuff going on. And it gets down to the bottom of this. And what ends up happening here, the fact of the matter is we let all this stuff into our house. This is happening because of us. Now, I wanted to read a few of these comments because some of these are just pure gold. This page loaded content from 41 domains. Nearly all of them are for tracking and ads. I logged in through Facebook to post my comment, and Engadget asked for my birthday to continue. But sure, just keep on posting about how much of a privacy violation it is, and our cameras records video and our voice assistants record audio. Touché, sir. Touché. This guy here, let's see, where's the one? Okay, I must say, Alexander says, I must say I'm not concerned with anything this article talks about. Smart devices are now littered around my home and makes life a lot easier, and tech is a massive part of my life. The data mining really doesn't bother me, seeing as Google only uses it to send adverts, and I'm only using Google products at present, which benefits me, and the Google can hit price points nearly everyone else can. If that's a trade-off, I'll have to deal with it. I'm happy with that compromise. We can all pray for Alexander. And then a lot of the comments, though, are really saying, hey, there's a lot of garbage. What is this doing? And the fact of the matter is, I read this article and I loved it. I thought it was great. But as we move into the new world, as we move into the new world, for sure. But as we move into the new year, I want you to stop, pause, and consider. Can you leave your phone at home sometimes, or at least keep it off? Work out something where it doesn't have to be perpetually on you. Work out something to decrease your screen time. So there was actually from MIT Tech Review. This article came out. So I asked my students to turn in their cell phones and write about living without them. So this is from an MIT study. And a few years ago, I performed an experiment in a philosophy class I was teaching. My students had failed the midterm test rather badly. I had a hunch their pervasive use of cell phones and laptops in class was partly responsible. So I asked them what they thought had gone wrong. After a few moments of silence, a young woman put her hand up and said, "We don't understand what the books say, sir. We don't understand the words." I looked around the class and saw guileless heads pensively nodding in agreement. I extemporized a solution. I offered them extra credit if they would give me their phones for 9 days and write about living without them. 12 students, about a third of the class, took me up on the offer. What they wrote was remarkable and remarkably consistent. These university students gave the chance to say what they felt, didn't gracefully submit to the tech industry and its devices. The usual industry and education narrative about cell phones, social media, digital technology generally is that they build a community, foster communication, and increase efficiency, thus improving our lives. Zuckerberg's recent reformulation of Facebook's mission statement is typical. The company aims to give people the power to build community and bring the world closer together. When Zuckerberg starts talking like that, I start thinking about the thing that's inside of his jacket, the all-seeing eye. Without their phones, most of the students initially felt lost, disorientated, frustrated, and even frightened. That seemed to support the industry narrative. Now, look how disconnected and lonely you'll be without your technology. But after just 2 weeks, the majority began to think that their cell phones were in fact limiting their relationships with other people, compromising their own lives, and somehow cutting them off from the real world. I want you to read the rest of this article. We're not going to read the rest of it, but I just wanted to comment on a few points at this point in time because I was a professor around the time that the smartphones were starting to move into the world. I think the most advanced phone I had while I was still a professor was an Samsung Alias 2, the dual flip phone. It was so awesome. It had like the paper key text where you could flip it this way and actually get a QWERTY keyboard, and you flip it the other way and it's a phone. It's a totally awesome phone. Sadly, it can no longer be activated at all. I should just throw it away at this point. But anyway, all of that being said, what I found really interesting is in that day, now when I was in college and kind of going up to and even the first year or so as a professor, students really still did sit around and study and do a lot more work. Right now, going onto a college campus, it's like walking into a zombie apocalypse. I mean, it's kind of crazy that people are so perpetually addicted to the phones. And what ends up happening is the phone produces this endorphin rush that keeps you perpetually locked to it. It's a massively addicting thing that you don't see how addicting it is until you back away from it. And I've kind of lived in this life for a while because thinking about it, I have 2 smartphones at this point right now for testing purposes and things. But the difference is I have nothing on there except the extent that I use my phone, of course, basic communication, calling, texting, which I really only text a couple people, almost no texting at all. And then there's no games on it. There's really no other apps on it. I do use the phone to scour news articles. So all the news articles I collect for those, I generally am reading through those on the phone and saving those to a clipboard on the phone. I use it to listen to music when I walk sometimes. And just checking internet and basic internet stuff if I'm out. But even that's extremely rare. So that's kind of interesting. I want to encourage you to rely less on your phone into the coming year. Rely less on the technology into the coming year. So let me know your thoughts. Do you think technology is destroying us, or is technology good for us? Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. I just want to say at the end of the video, thank you for all of the patrons and other supporters. Patreon.com/Tom M. That's TOMM. Or thinklifemedia.com. We have the platinum and the gold members listed for the support. Thank you for your support. And thanks also to the dozen or so bronze and silver supporters as well. Thanks for coming along, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.